Once again, welcome to the tech training for Unidos in Finance for the spring 2021 cohort. To everyone who was invited to join our cohort, congratulations. We did have a large number of applications, 80 plus applications. Only 35 students were selected for interviews and only 19 students made it into our class. So congratulations. And this quick tech training will give you a little overview on the 3 different technology platforms that we will be using for this specific class. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to utilize the chat. I will be checking that, and I will also answer any questions you have at any time. So feel free to unmute yourself if you do have a question to ask. Now, one of the programs we will be using is the one we're using now, Zoom. So this one's going to be really brief because you obviously figured out how to get in. You figured out how to join a class. You may have downloaded the platform to your laptop or computer, or you may have downloaded the app to your phone. If you are utilizing your phone to access the Zoom, that's okay as long as you have another device that you're able to utilize for your work. A lot of the stuff that we will do will require you to get onto a website, and you may want to view the PowerPoint at the same time. So it is beneficial to utilize a computer or a laptop. If for some reason you do not have a computer or a laptop available to you right now, you can request a loaner laptop. I do have a few laptops I can lend out. So if yours does not have a camera and you would like one with a camera, I can provide that. If you're trying to access everything on a phone or an iPad or similar device and you would like a laptop to make it easier for you to do your assignments, you're welcome to request a loaner laptop from us, and we'll make arrangements for that. So since you have already figured out how to get into the Zoom meeting, you understand that you're going to receive a URL from me. You will receive a URL for the class, and you'll also have an additional URL for any breakouts or guest speaker opportunities. So in our Google Classroom, we will host all of the links for each Zoom URL that you will need in order to access every single class. For the most part, it will be the same URL that we'll be utilizing every day for our morning sessions. When we do go into our guest speakers, we may need to utilize a different Zoom address, but that will all be communicated in the Google Classroom. Now, one thing that I did want to note was how to test out your audio and video. The best thing to do is to test your audio and video before you actually join the class. That is going to be your best bet because that gives you a chance to test things, see if it works with your headphones. A lot of times I will have people jump on and start their Zoom and then stick in their headphones, and then all of a sudden they can't hear things or I can't hear their mic. So sometimes you might have to get out of the Zoom, plug in your headphones, make sure they're set up, and then re-enter the Zoom in order for that to catch. That has been a common issue. Now they do have a test site. So if you go into Zoom and you open up the URL, zoom.us/test, that will give you an opportunity to test the different sound levels and the different mics or cameras that you have. So that's a good idea too if you really don't know if your microphone's working, especially if you're utilizing a different computer on a different day. Maybe your children needed the laptop for their distance learning, so now you're using a different computer. Testing that out before you enter the class is very, very helpful. All right. Now, when you test your audio and video when you've already joined a session, this is very cool. So when you want to test your speaker and microphone, there is a button that says test computer mic and speakers, and this will walk you through testing each microphone and speaker on your computer so that you can figure out if you have that capability. If for any reason you do not and you need to borrow a laptop, please let us know. We'll make those arrangements. If you do not have a mic and a speaker capability on that specific device, you do have a call-in feature. So also, if you're noticing that you're lagging a lot and you're really not able to hear what's going on because it starts to break up, or when you're speaking and you unmute yourself and you're trying to speak, you're really choppy, the professor might let you know, hey, I can't really hear you very well, or you might know that you can't hear your professor or your fellow students very well. That is an excellent opportunity to just turn off your mic so that you can access that via the phone. It can be a landline, via cell phone. It's very easy, and all you need to do is enter that phone number, which we provide to you, as well as the access code or the meeting ID for that specific meeting, which we'll also provide to you every single class. It will be inside the Google Classroom. So if you have a different device, you're in a different area, you'll always be able to access all of that information on the Google Classroom. Now, when you're testing and adjusting your audio settings after you've already joined, there's these little buttons on the bottom left-hand corner that will allow you to check those video settings as well as check those audio settings. And I know these pictures are really small, so the next slide will have them big so you can see them. But basically, after you've joined your session, you can find those additional controls in the bottom left-hand corner. This one here is going to be your microphone. Always keep yourself on mute when you are in the class, unless your professor asks you to unmute so that you can speak. That just keeps all the background noise or the barking dog or the trash truck that's going by your house. Like, it keeps all that stuff down so that we can concentrate on the professor. Now, here's a pro tip. If you have your mic on mute and you want to say something really quickly, you can just push the space bar on your laptop or computer, hold it down, and that will allow you to speak without unmuting yourself. And then you just pull your finger off the space bar and that will mute you back up again. So it's super easy way for you to just quickly unmute yourself really quickly without having to grab your mouse and kind of fumble around to find that little unmute button. So that's a little bit helpful. If you click that little up arrow right next to the mute or unmute, that will show you all of your microphone settings so that if you have to change your settings based on, new headphones or you can't quite hear something, you can check that with that up arrow. Same thing happens with the video. You always want to have your video on if you're able to. I'm trying to go with an 80-20 rule, meaning 80% of the time you've got it on, 20% of the time you might have it off because we're human. We might need to leave the session for a second to use the restroom, grab some water. Maybe our child needs our attention for something. We might turn off for just a second to take care of that. But it is a courtesy for our professor as well, because as a teacher, it's really weird when we're just looking at a bunch of names and we feel like we're teaching to a brick wall. So the more faces we have on there, the more interaction, honestly, the better teachers we are, the more lively we are, the more excited we are to be there, because it is absolutely heartbreaking to teach a class to a brick wall. It's very difficult and it's just not as fun. So the more you have your camera on, the more you interact, not only the more you're going to get out of it, but the more everyone else is going to get out of it as well. So the same thing with the video, that little up arrow. If you click on that up arrow, it will show you your video settings. That way, if you need to switch, maybe you have this really awesome webcam that you use for your YouTube videos and you have that set up behind your regular camera, you can switch so that you can use your really cool camera, or you can turn off the other camera if you don't want them to double up. Now, when you're sharing presentations, this is a great tip for you. I know that I have had to adjust myself a couple times because I did not share screen properly. But if you are asked to share something on your screen, you are easily able to do that. If you're opening a PowerPoint or if you're sharing a picture, something like that, you want to have that open before you click screen share. So you open that up, then you pull open your Zoom, and then you will click that little green button in the middle that says screen share. Now, your professor may turn off screen share so that no one can share except the professor, but there may be times that the professor wants you to share something that you have created or looked at, so you will click on the screen share button. Make sure that your document or your PowerPoint or your video is open before you do that. Once you click that screen share button, it's going to pop up with this screen and it will show you all the things that you have open on your computer. You're going to want to select your PowerPoint or whatever it is that you're trying to share. If your share item, your document, your PowerPoint has audio that you want us to hear, there's a little button on the bottom left-hand corner that says share computer sound. That's very important because if you're trying to share a video clip and you push screen share, we will not hear anything. You'll hear it and you'll think that we can hear it until we start like making noise and start making faces on the computer till you notice us. But if you click that share computer sound button on the bottom left-hand corner, we'll automatically share whatever sound you have on that computer. So with that said, make sure that there's nothing else open with sound on your computer, because if you have a YouTube video in the background that's playing your meditation music, that's going to come across on our computers as well. So just make sure everything else is off. You have that PowerPoint open or video open. And if you need to share audio, make sure you've clicked that share audio button before you click the big blue share button on the bottom corner. So those are our basics on Zoom. Any questions about how to use Zoom or any other buttons that we might have? All right, I'm going to quickly stop share, and then I am going to share again, but I'm going to share my main screen. So you're going to see what I'm seeing, which is myself here. So when I want to see everybody, I'm going to make sure that I can click on the gallery view. I can make it so that I only see one person, or I can make it so I see nobody. But you want to have gallery view on. That's very helpful as well. So that's just something that I wanted to share. Now back to our slides, Google Classroom. And I apologize, this is all, not very clear. I blew it up a little bit too big. So that's on me, my bad. So basically you're gonna go to classroom.google.com. You should have already received an invitation to the Google Classroom. You received 2 invitations to the one Google Classroom. I sent you an invitation that had a code. And I also sent you an invitation that was just a link. So there's 2 ways you could have entered the classroom, whichever one is easiest for you. But if you're going to go straight to Google Classroom, you're going to hit classroom.google.com. And then from there, it will allow you to see any classes that you've been invited to. Now that has to do with the Gmail account that you have given to us. If for some reason you have not received an invitation from Google, it may not recognize your email. So please reach out to me, and then I will make sure to get that invitation to you. We might need to create a Gmail account that is specific for you to utilize for this class. I've had many students have to do that. That's not a big deal. It's no problem. It's actually very good to have a separate email that maybe has your first name dot last name at gmail.com, because then it makes it an easy one to send out professional resumes, professional information, because it's not your old email from high school that says bubblegum619 at Yahoo, right? We don't want to use those ones. We want to use professional ones. Now in our Google Classroom, this is what a classroom screen will look like. Once you go to Google Classroom, it'll show you the different classes that you have. You should have a class that says Unidos in Finance Spring 2021. If you do not, please reach out to me. I will make sure to get that invitation to you. But here's a couple of buttons on there. On the top right-hand corner, it will have your account. If you don't have a picture in there, it'll just show the first letter of your name. So my name is Valerie, it'll just show a V right there. If my name is Sergio, it'll show an S, or I can upload my own photo. Now keep in mind that photo is shared with everybody who sees you on the Google Classroom. So you don't want to have an inappropriate picture or a cartoon image. You want to try to make it just yourself, or don't put anything there, because this is a professional setting and everybody that is in the classroom will see that particular picture and whatever you have named yourself. We have had students with very inappropriate names because they didn't realize that everybody could see that. So we had to ask them to change that. Now over on next to your account settings is the waffle. We call it the waffle because it looks like all the little holes that are inside of a Belgian waffle. So if you look at the waffle and you hover over it, it will pull up all the different Google apps that you have access to. So that's important because that's where you'll find your Gmail. That's where you will find your Google Drive. That's where you can find your Google Classroom and all the other wonderful Google apps that are in the Google Suite. There is actually training that Google provides on how to utilize all of the different apps that they have in their suite. It's very cool stuff. So if you're interested, I can show you where to find that information, but it's very helpful to know because not only in this setting, but in other settings, colleges, community colleges, and also businesses are utilizing platforms like this. If not the same one, very similar, and they usually integrate with Google Docs, Google Slides, all of those different things. So it's important to know some of those for your professional development. Now, next to the waffle is going to be a button that says join class. If you do not see your class here and you were given a code, which is like a 5 or 6 digit, code that for this specific class, you'll click that button and enter that there. Also, if you hover over your class, there's a mini waffle, a little 3 dots on the top right-hand corner. That's how you can unenroll yourself from a class. So say you got in a class you don't want anymore, you're done with that class, you don't want to see it anymore, you can unenroll so that you no longer see it. But once you do that, you have 0 access to that class, 0 access to the Google Drive that's associated with that class. I have a ton of classes on my, my list, a lot of classes that are no longer live, but I won't delete them because I still want to access some of those documents or access the things that are in that drive. On your little tile, it will say the name of your class. It will have your class title. It'll also have a little button for your class files and your class work. All of those can be accessed in other areas as well. When you're joining a class, like I said, you just click the little join button and then it will allow you into that class if you've already been invited. If you have not been invited and you've been given a class code, you will simply click that circle or click that plus button, and then that will open up where you can place your class code. Once you're inside the class, you will see a class screen. This will have here, it won't say science, it will say Unidos in Finance, Mac Unidos in Finance Spring 2021. The 3 things on the top you're going to notice are stream, classwork, and people. Those are the 3 places that you're going to be looking. Stream is going to be basically a message board. Now, everything that is put on this message board, all the comments that you put on this message board go to everybody in the class. So this is where I might share things like a link for the class that we're having for the day. I might share job opportunities. Oh, Bank of America is hiring tellers. Here are the open positions. I might place that in the stream because it easily sends an email out to every single student. Anything that you put in the stream will do the same. You will also have a Google Drive that's automatically going to be created based on this class. So items that I put in this class will also show up in your drive for easy access. The classwork page, if you click on the classwork page, that's going to go to a list of all of your assignments, and I'll show you what that's going to look like as well. And then the people page is going to show a list. Oh, the people page is actually going to show a list of all of the students that are in the class, as well as show you a list of your professors. So if you need to contact me or you need to contact your professor, you are able to utilize that people in order to send them a Gmail email. You can also reach out to fellow students based on the people that are in that class. So if you really need to reach out to Rebecca because you were in a breakout room with Rebecca doing an assignment together, you can go to people, find Rebecca, and click on the little mini waffle next to her name, and that will give you her email address. Now in classwork, this is where you're going to see the assignments. Now on the assignment screen, it will show you the due date, so when this assignment needs to be turned in, the name of the assignment, how many points it's worth, any instructions. Please read this article and write a 3-paragraph essay on why the article was important. Whatever the assignment is, it's going to list what those instructions are. And then under that will also be the option for class comments. So if you have a question about this specific assignment, you can make comments and ask questions there, or you can go and create a separate email and send that to me. This is just a quick and easy way for you to access as well as comment and communicate with your professor. On the right-hand side, it will tell you the status. So if it's assigned, if it's turned in, if it's graded, that's where it'll show it on the top. It'll show any file that the teacher has attached. So if I'm attaching a Word document and you're supposed to fill that out, it will attach to, I'll have the attachment there. Once you open it, it will become a new document. And then once you click add or create, you will attach the file back to the assignment, and then you'll click the turn in button. Once you click the turn in button, the document can't be edited anymore. It goes to me. Now, if you decide, oh, I made a mistake, there's a way to take your assignment back from your professor, from your teacher, to make those adjustments. And I'll show you how to do that as well. Now, when you are sharing your document, so you're turning something in, this is where you're going to turn something into your professor. You're going to have that share button on the top right-hand corner, and you can utilize that to share it out to the teacher as well. That means that you're giving away ownership so that they can make their comments, they can give you your grades. If you want to take an assignment back, you can click unsubmit. So say you submitted an assignment and then you realized an hour later, oh my gosh, I forgot I was supposed to put in, that a quote from, the person that I was talking to. Darn it, I forgot to do that. You can go back to the Google Classroom, open up the assignment and click unsubmit. That will take the document away from the professor so they can no longer view it, they can no longer manipulate it, give you the chance to make your corrections, do your fixes, and then send it back to the professor. So there is a way for you to pull your stuff back, redo it, and then resubmit it again. Also in classwork, so say that you forgot if you did your work or not, you just simply go into the classroom, click on classwork and click on view work, and it will show all the things that you have turned in and anything that you have not turned in, any missing assignments. Any questions, comments, or concerns thus far before I move into the next little piece? No, we're good? All right, awesome. So this is actually really cool. I'm super excited that we have Nearpod for our class. So Nearpod is super easy to use. You can use it in two different ways. You will go to nearpod.com and you can easily pop in a student code. I'm like pointing at it like you can see what I'm pointing at. But there is a little orange box that says students join a lesson, and you can enter a code right there. You also have the option to download an app. So say I want to do all my Nearpod on my phone. I can do it on my iPhone. I'm just going to download the app and I'm going to do my Nearpod from my iPhone or from my iPad because it's super easy that way. You don't have to download an app if you don't want to. You can, but it's not going to change your experience too much. It's pretty similar either way, but you can just go to nearpod.com and enter in your student code. So if you're brave, I already created a Nearpod lesson for you using this code. So if you open up a browser, type in nearpod.com, go to the student, or you see the student box, put in this little code, and it will show you a Nearpod lesson. And you'll be able to see what that would look like. So if you're able to get into Nearpod and enter in this code, it will show you a little mini lesson. Yes, it is for middle and high schoolers, but it's a cute little mini lesson to give you an idea of what Nearpod is like. Like I said, you have the option to download the app, but you do not have to because you can access it via the website. Now I'm going to stop share so that you guys can look at your Nearpod lesson. I see Sergio and Victor are actively in the Nearpod. Now the cool thing about Nearpod is that I can actually see that you guys are in there too. So as you're clicking through the Nearpod, you'll notice that there's places that you can actually answer open-ended questions. You'll be able to click on multiple choice questions. There's some that you can actually do little drawings on. Open-ended questions are fun because you just get to lay out all of your thoughts there, and then the professor will get to see those specific thoughts, those items that you have on there. If you get to slide 7, you'll also notice that you can fill in the blanks. Now, don't worry if you're getting anything right or wrong. That does not matter here. This is an opportunity to play. So getting them all wrong is no big deal. We just want you to kind of play with it and see what it's like to add in all of these cool little fill in the blank vocabulary words. And then you click done, and then it tells you how you did. So now for those who were unable to get into the Nearpod, I want to kind of show you what that looks like. So this is what I'm looking at if I were a student looking at Nearpod. Will ask me my question. In here, I can type in my answer. Here is a fill in the blank. These are kind of cool because you just get to grab and drop. Grab and drop. That sounds great. I have no idea what I'm reading here. I'm just popping things in. Super easy. You click done and it tells you what you got right and what you got wrong. So that's kind of cool too. Other ones might ask you to fill things out. Now here, if you've come up to one of these draw pages, you actually can use these little buttons down here, and I can decide that I'm going to draw my stuff. So I can actually draw on my little thing, or I say that I want to type something in. I can change the size of my letters from here. I can also erase. So say that I decide I need to erase something. I'm going to go ahead and erase my little heart there. I can easily just scrub that away. So that's a cool feature there too. Also, there's polls. So there's polls inside here where we might ask you a question and then you put in your answer, and then it will tell us a poll later on what everybody else answered. Let's see, testing, quizzes. So at the end of our asynchronous lessons, we will have quizzes. And on those quizzes, you'll be able to answer right on the Nearpod. And it will go straight to the professor, and we just pull a report and it'll show us all of your answers, all of your smartness, everything that you've done there. So this just kind of gives you an idea of some of the different features inside of Nearpod and some of the different ways that you're going to be able to utilize it. Polls, and that was that. So that was just kind of a super quick and brief overview of all of the different features that Google Classroom has, Zoom has, as well as the Nearpod app that you will be utilizing for this specific course. Any questions, comments, or concerns thus far? And Angelica, I'm sorry I didn't see your chat because I had it on my big screen, so I apologize. But I did go through the Nearpod so you can kind of see what it looks like. So those are the apps that we're going to be using for the classroom. We look forward to seeing you on Monday. If you have not gotten into the Google Classroom, do so as soon as possible. I will be reaching out to those who have not been able to enter the classroom. Your documents are going to start coming live. Already we have had your pre-test, your pre-survey has been placed in the Google Classroom and is live now. So you can go into your Google Classroom, you'll see a pre-test. You'll click on that assignment, it will open up, and then you'll see a link where you will go to a pre-survey for Unidos US. So we are funded for this program by Unidos US, and they do require a pre and a post survey. So the survey is pretty quick. It'll take you about 10, maybe 15 minutes to go through all of the questions, but answer those questions to the best of your ability. And then you will take a very similar assessment at the end to show your growth and all of the wonderful things that you have learned from the beautiful curriculum from Unidos US and from our wonderful professor from Southwestern College. So with that, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. I will hang out on the Zoom for a couple of minutes in case you have specific questions regarding the tech. I will be in your classroom on Monday, so I will be available to you. You'll also have your professor, Professor Rosas, who is on this call as well to say hello to you. He will be available to you on the class. I'm also going to place his contact information there as well. So once again, any questions, comments, or concerns? Awesome.
Well, thank you.
No, thank you.
I do have a question.
Here. I greatly appreciate your participation. I am going to post this video for other students that were not able to join. So if you need a refresher, you want to look at it again, you're welcome to do so. I am available to you, so please do not hesitate to reach out. Please do not hesitate to give me a call, shoot me a text, and I will be there to help you. Looking forward to seeing everybody on Monday at 9 a.m. It's going to be a fantastic class. I'm very excited. I've got some great guest speakers set up for us, and we've got some really great interactive lessons to get you guys going. So thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, everybody.